For us college basketball fans looking for a video game in the modern gaming landscape, it's been a bit of a struggle. We're coming up on 2 decades since we last saw a console game with NCAA Basketball 10, and while these games are still easy to find online, they honestly haven't aged that well, especially if you're used to playing a modern 2K. Like going from a modern 2K to something like College Hoops 2K8, they play completely different. There was a glimmer of hope after EA announced that they were making a college basketball game after their success with College Football 25, but then the hope quickly went away after EA canceled the game because 2K announced that they were making a game and no colleges wanted to partner with EA. And now I don't really know what 2K is doing with the college basketball license. I haven't really been following what's going on since EA canceled, but whatever 2K is doing, I know it's not the right decision. I could go on and on about 2K and how they piss me off, but that's not what this video is about. What I did want to talk about is that if gamers want to get their college basketball fix, then they usually have to turn to Steam, where there's a plethora of coaching sims out there. But what's the best one is what I want to figure out. College football already has a great title on Steam that I've already talked about in a previous video. I think Football Coach College Dynasty is probably one of the best college football sims on Steam. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's the best college football game out right now. So what about college basketball? Well, I wanted to talk about Campus Legends College Basketball. I don't particularly think it's the best, but I do think there's fun to be had, and I want to shine a little light on it, because there's probably people out there who'd be interested in it. Campus Legends dropped in early access at the start of last year, and it's gotten pretty positive views on Steam so far. It's still in early access, but it already has a devoted Discord where you find access to mods or people giving out tips. I was able to find a logo pack on the Discord, which I could download, so I was able to play with real school names and logos. I wasn't able to find a roadmap from the developer to see like what's coming in the future, but they have been pretty consistent with updates. I've noticed a few updates since I've started playing it, and the developer's pretty active on Steam with their updates, so it's cool to see that they haven't like abandoned the game or anything. But as far as the game goes, it's pretty simple to get into. It's definitely more sim focused than strategy focused, which I think can be appealing to some. But if you're looking for a strategic coaching sim, then you're going to be a little disappointed. A lot of the strategy elements don't really go that in depth. You can do things like setting your minutes rotations, who's your starters, who's on your bench. You can set your training focus for the season, like if you want to develop guys to be better shooters or better on defense, or just everything in general. You can adjust things like who you want the offense to run through, who you want taking a majority of the shots. You can also adjust the offensive pace and the offensive focus, which both use the same metric for whatever reason. It's a meter that's 40 out of 99. This makes sense for the offensive pace, but offensive focus doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Offensive focus really just means how dependent on the three-pointer you want your team to be. And there's nothing for defensive strategy though, which is kind of odd. Like there's nothing to tell your team to run a man-to-man defense or a zone, or even if you want to do like a full court press. I feel like just having nothing for defense, it's kind of odd. And this is where your involvement for how your team plays in game ends. All you do is just sit and watch as a game unfolds. You can't call timeouts or switch up the strategy based on how your opponent's playing. You can't do substitutions or anything like that. All you do is just sit and watch, and the game takes care of everything for you. Again, this could be appealing to some, and it really just helps you get through seasons very quickly. Like you can get through a season in maybe 30 minutes, which I know people will like that. I mean, it is kind of fun just to fly through seasons. But then again, I also kind of crave something a little deeper. I kind of want something a little more strategic where it actually feels like I'm influencing games. Player stats are pretty much what you expect if you're used to playing like 2K or anything. There's players that have overalls, they have potential, they have inside, mid-range, outside scoring, perimeter and interior defense, rebounding. Then they also have a separate skill for steals and blocks, and then their durability. They don't have a stamina attribute for players, which I think is kind of odd. I wonder if that's just like clumped into durability, but I feel like a stamina attribute would make it easier to know what pace you should run your offense at. Otherwise, why not run your offense at full speed, you know? The game has pretty comprehensive stat tracking over years, which I know a lot of people are gonna like. I'm a big UI guy. Like if a game has clean UI that's nice to look at and easy to navigate, that's a big plus for me. This game's UI is okay. It's not the best, but it's not the worst I've seen. I think it's good in some aspects and bad in some others. Like the news page is kind of just a mess. It's kind of hard to navigate. The UI is also not reactive at all. Icons don't highlight when you hover your cursor over it. Your cursor doesn't change. It can be kind of hard to even know if the game registered your click. I would also run into a lot where the game would stop responding as I was navigating pages. I thought it was just that the game was taking a really long time to go from one page to the next, which really wouldn't make any sense for a game that doesn't really require a whole lot of processing power. But no, the game just stopped responding at some points, and I just had to wait a couple of seconds for the game to start responding again. And then it would take me to the next page, which definitely disrupts your flow. While we're on the topic of glitches, I ran into a big one that made me want to quit the game at some points, and that was that my rotation would just be completely wiped at points, and I would frequently have to go back into my rotation screen to reset it. And this would happen very often, and most of the times I wouldn't know it happened until I went into a game I just played and checked the box score and saw that only 5 guys played the whole game. Luckily, in a lot of those games I ended up winning, so it wasn't a huge detriment, but it gets really annoying when you have to go in after every game to reset your rotation. And I never figured out like what caused this glitch to happen. It just happened. Like there wasn't a rhyme or a reason or a trigger that would make it happen. I think it just happened randomly after a few games. I'm not sure if this is a glitch, but I would encounter like serious rubber banding a lot. No first half lead is safe in this game. There would be multiple times where I could be down 15 points and I would come back and win, which I mean happens in real life, but when you start to notice it happen a lot, then it doesn't really become realistic. Luckily, again, I was always on the winning end of this. I can see it getting really annoying if it was alternative, and I was blowing 20-point leads every game. Recruiting in this game, I think, is a little lackluster. It's a little difficult, but not intentionally, I think. It happens in the off season, which isn't necessarily a con for me. I think there's pros and cons to this though. On one hand, it's nice not having to worry about it during the season, and it also kind of helps you fly through seasons. This is not something you're constantly having to go in and check on. Because the way the season is structured in this game, it's not broken up into weeks where you get a certain amount of recruiting points each week. The season moves along by just hopping from one game to the next. So it kind of makes sense from a design standpoint to have recruiting in the off season. But on the other hand, I kind of like recruiting in during the season because it kind of feels realistic, like you're an actual coach building a relationship with the player, and they ultimately come to your school because they want to play for you. But as far as actual recruiting goes, I think there's a lot left to be desired. You get a certain budget of points and you can allocate those to your targets. Usually I would find that there are only 10 guys out of like 2,500 possible players that actually want to come play for my school. And yeah, you have this budget, but you can only allocate 250 points to each player. So you're kind of screwed if you just fall behind, and you can't offer NIL or like promises to sweeten the pot. I found it was really key just to go after players that really wanted to come play for my school. A lot of times I'd really only be getting like 2 or 3 recruits, and the rest of my roster spots would be filled by walk-ons. There is a transfer portal in this game, and it does get kind of hectic at points. I think it's actually pretty dynamic at points because players can leave for any number of reasons. You know, they may want more playing time. They may want to be closer to home. Players will leave if your coach has low ratings and they don't think that they can win with them. When it comes to the diversity in players, you will encounter a lot of repeating names. Like, it wouldn't be uncommon to have 2 Brians on your team or having 2 guys with the last name Rios. You'll also encounter a lot of guys who are like 7'3" or like 280 pounds, which I just don't think it's realistic. Like, it's not common at all for a kid to come straight out of high school and he's 280 pounds. Like, you'll get forwards who are like 6'4" and they'll be like 250. You're just not seeing that. That's not really realistic at all. The coaching carousel can get pretty hectic as well. I found that you really didn't have to be successful to move up in the ranks. When I was playing, one of my teams went 8-23, and then I got an offer from a better school, so I immediately jumped ship and went to a better school. But like in real life, if a coach goes 8-23, they're not getting an offer from a better school. I think it'd be cool if the developers implemented like a coach contract system where you're like obligated to stay if you sign a contract with the school. Because all you get for a coach expectations is expected record, and then your job security is determined based off if you met that or not. But if there's like money involved when it comes to the coaching carousel, I think that can make it a little more dynamic, because maybe you get an offer from a lower school, or you get a lower offer but from a better school, and then you can make your decision based off the money being the deciding factor. So all in all, there is fun to be had in Campus Legends college basketball. It's definitely more sim focused than I would like, but like I said, that could be appealing to some. I personally would rather have something a little more in-depth, but this game's still in early access, so that can kind of excuse for the lack of features, but for the content that is there now, I really wouldn't pay more than the $5 I was asking for. but that price tag does also make it more accessible, so it could be something you could easily pick up and check out for yourself. I think because the game is so simple right now and its gameplay elements, I do think it incentivizes me to come back and play a little bit more and try to be better. I'm not going to give this one a grade out of 10, but all I will say is pick it up for $5 if you want to have a little bit of fun, mess around, and if you're not looking for something too in-depth. So if you guys checked out Campus Legends College Basketball, what did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. And let me know if there are other college basketball sims on Steam that I should check out. I have a few that I want to look into and maybe do videos on them later. So I do want to find a college basketball sim that's on par with Football Coach College Dynasty. I think that game is like the gold standard of what sports sims should be. So I'd really like to find the basketball equivalent. And also let me know if there are any early access games that I should check out. That's something I could start doing, potentially looking into, checking out early access games, see if they're worth your time, and see if that they could potentially be the next big thing. So with all that being said, that was Campus Legends College Basketball. I'm Sam Lebowski. Y'all take it easy, dudes, and I'll catch you next time.